For a stretch of time, it felt impossible to stop Michael Thomas. Not difficult, not unlikely, impossible. Defenses knew exactly where the ball was going. Fans knew, commentators knew, the cornerback lined up across from him definitely knew, and somehow, it didn't matter. The slant was coming. Everyone in the stadium knew it, and Michael Thomas still caught it again and again and again. At his peak with the New Orleans Saints, Michael Thomas wasn't just productive, he was automatic, reliable in a way few receivers in NFL history ever have been, and that's what makes his fall so difficult to process. Because this wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't a player fading after a decent run. This was a superstar, a record breaker, a player who looked like he was building a Hall of Fame resume before turning 27. And then it all stopped. Michael Thomas entered the NFL in 2016 after playing college football at Ohio State University. Even then there were questions. He wasn't viewed as the flashiest receiver in his draft class. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most explosive. He didn't arrive with the same hype as some of the others. But the Saints saw something: precision, body control, hands, competitiveness, and maybe most importantly, consistency. They selected him in the second round of the 2016 NFL Draft, and almost immediately, he looked like a steal. As a rookie, he posted over 1,100 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. Most rookies need time to adjust. Michael Thomas looked like he'd already adjusted before he even arrived. He fit perfectly into New Orleans' offense, and with Drew Brees delivering passes, the connection became lethal almost instantly. Then came year 2, then year 3, and suddenly it wasn't just Michael Thomas is really good. It became, wait, is Michael Thomas one of the best receivers in football? By 2018, that question was already answered. Yes, without debate. He led the league in receptions, 125 catches, over 1,400 yards, elite production, elite efficiency, elite route running. He didn't dominate with highlight reel acrobatics every week. He dominated by winning every tiny battle. Release, leverage, timing, hands, footwork, everything. He was surgical. Corners couldn't disrupt him. Safeties couldn't help fast enough. And once he got inside leverage, it was over. That's where the nickname "Can't Guard Mike" stopped feeling like trash talk and started feeling like a scouting report. Then 2019 happened, and that season changed everything. Michael Thomas put together one of the greatest receiving seasons in NFL history. 149 receptions. That wasn't just league leading, that was an NFL record. No player had ever caught more passes in a single season. He added 1,725 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. He led the NFL in receptions. He led the NFL in receiving yards, and he won NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He wasn't just a top receiver anymore. He was the receiver, the standard, the blueprint, and the craziest part, it felt sustainable. He wasn't living off lucky deep balls or broken coverage. This wasn't some random outlier year fueled by chaos. His game aged well, elite route running ages well, hands age well, timing ages well. That's why it felt like Michael Thomas would be around forever. Maybe not forever at that exact level, but close. 100 catches every year? Totally believable. Another All-Pro? Expected. More franchise records? Probably. Instead, 2019 became the peak, and no one knew it at the time. Then came the ankle injury, and everything changed. In 2020, expectations were sky high. Michael Thomas was coming off the greatest season of his career. The Saints were contenders. And then early in the season, he injured his ankle. At first, it didn't seem catastrophic. Players missed time. Stars come back, especially stars like him. But the recovery became messy, then complicated, then incredibly long. He missed game after game. The injury lingered. There were reports about rehab, questions about treatment, questions about surgery, questions about timelines. And suddenly, the story around Michael Thomas wasn't catches, or records, or touchdowns. It was recovery updates, setbacks, timetables, uncertainty. He returned briefly, but he didn't look like the same player. Then came more setbacks, more missed time, and then something that felt impossible just a year earlier happened. People started wondering if Michael Thomas would ever be Michael Thomas again. That question would only grow louder, because after 2019, the numbers disappeared, the dominance disappeared, and eventually, so did the availability. Over the next several seasons, injuries piled up, ankle issues, hamstring problems, toe issues, constant interruptions. Every time momentum started building, something happened. Every time fans believed the comeback was here, another setback followed. And in the NFL, momentum matters, repetition matters, availability matters, especially for receivers. Timing with quarterbacks, chemistry, rhythm, explosiveness, confidence in cuts, confidence planting on routes, confidence accelerating through contact. When injuries attack the lower body over and over, they don't just remove games, they chip away at everything. And for Michael Thomas, that erosion became impossible to ignore. But injuries weren't the only reason the fall felt so dramatic. Context made it worse, because while Thomas was battling to return, everything around him changed too. Drew Brees retired. That mattered a lot. The connection between Brees and Thomas was one of the most efficient quarterback-receiver pairings the league had seen. Perfect timing, quick reads, trust, anticipation. It was a machine. Without Brees, everything shifted. The Saints entered a new era. Different quarterbacks, different offensive rhythm, different identity. And while Thomas was already trying to return from injury, the offense he once dominated no longer looked the same. Then the league kept moving. New stars arrived. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill entered another level. CeeDee Lamb, a Jay Brown. Every season the conversation kept moving forward. Meanwhile, Michael Thomas remained trapped in recovery. And football moves brutally fast, especially at wide receiver. Miss one season, people notice. Miss two, people worry. Miss several, people move on, even if you were once the best in the world. And that's what happened. One of the NFL's biggest stars slowly became an occasional update at the bottom of a news cycle. Michael Thomas still rehabbing. Michael Thomas setback. Michael Thomas expected to miss more time. Michael Thomas placed on injured reserve. Over and over, until eventually it became normal. And that might be the saddest part, because there was a time when Michael Thomas felt unavoidable. Then somehow he became invisible. His career became one of the strangest what-ifs in modern football, because unlike some players whose peaks are debated, Michael Thomas's peak isn't hypothetical. We saw it, we watched it, we have the film, we have the stats. 149 catches, an NFL record, Offensive Player of the Year, multiple All-Pro selections, multiple Pro Bowls, back-to-back seasons leading the NFL in receptions. One of the most productive starts to a career by any receiver ever. This wasn't unrealized potential. This was realized greatness, and that's why it hurts more. Because the question isn't, could he have been elite? The answer is yes, he was. The real question is, how much more could there have been? How many more 100 catch seasons? How many more playoff runs? How many more records? How many more years of can't guard Mike at full strength? Would he have challenged all-time franchise records? Would he have made a Hall of Fame push impossible to ignore? Would we be talking about him in the same tier as the greatest receivers of his era? We'll never know. And that's what makes the fall feel unfinished, because it never felt like it ended with a clear decline. There was no gradual aging curve, no obvious slowing down over 5 or 6 years. No, he's still good, just not elite anymore.